One flash, one grid, bright sunny day, plus a parking garage equals a dramatic senior portrait shoot. What's up, photography world? Josh Rogasso here from theshutterschool.com. Now, it's been a little while since I've made a video. I made a whole bunch of videos earlier this year and over the winter, and then I took a little break for some other projects I had going on, and then all of a sudden, the YouTube algorithm giving some love to my channel, and all of a sudden, some of my previous MagMod videos started doing really well, so I got the bug to start making some stuff again. So I've got a quick behind the scenes for you, a just quick one light setup, one quick trick from MagMod on a senior shoot. And so if you want me to keep making more videos and keep sharing that love so that I get excited about making a ton of videos, then please like and subscribe so that you can see more and that I'll be motivated to kick butt for this channel. All right. So anyway, so we're going to get into a senior shoot I had recently where I wanted to end the shoot with something creative and tie in his hobby of hockey. And so he brought along a hockey stick, nothing too crazy, but we needed to find a scene and find a setup that we can create a dramatic portrait on a bright sunny day. So I'm going to show you that trick today. Should be super quick, super simple. All right, so let's get into it. This is the before and the after. And I actually have a couple different versions I'm going to show you and the little tweaks that I made in those versions for you to go. So the before and after, as you can see, parking deck and this basic setup I'll get more into in a second, but we just have one flash, one grid. So the MagMod setup, you just take one flash, and the MagMod setup has the system has a magnetic grid that you attach, and what that does is controls the light beam. So a regular flash is going to spread out everywhere. The grid is going to keep that beam in a nice straight line, so you're getting more of a pocket. And the reason why I'm doing that here is because I don't want to light up the whole garage. I want to bring the light down and then only light up his face. So as you can see in the before shot, everything is relatively light. So when I bring that exposure down, I need to bring his face back up. And so that's the basic gist of the shoot, but I'll show you a few different tweaks and aspects that I made along the way and how I edited it and things like that. So some background to the shoot. We started out outside, middle of the day. He was only available at like 3 or 4 o'clock, so we definitely had some strong sun, and we chose this downtown Main Street kind of setting. We had some like grungy alley area to work, and they have this parking deck, and as you can see, insanely bright. So if you want to do any flash, especially a pocket flash like this, you're not bringing a big mono pack or something, you're not going to be able to do a lot of cool flash stuff outside. So one good trick when you're in a city and it's a bright day and you need to find a dark scene to work with is to get down into a parking deck. So that's what we did. We moved on down and got the one flash camber right. I usually like when I'm shooting on a guy and I want a spotlight, I want it to be relatively high and about 45 degrees so you get that angle of light. And then one of the tricks is you have them look into the light if you want a more flattering, softer look, I guess, or if you have them look away from the light a little, it's going to get more dramatic. So here's the very first shot unedited, so you can see what the lighting effect is doing. So let's pull up the settings for you. Okay, so I'm at ISO 80 because I'm trying to bring the exposure down as low as possible, and I have 1/160th of a second f2.8. So it was actually relatively bright parking deck, being that it wasn't fully in a basement. However, it was dark enough that I'm able to bring the exposure down a decent amount. Now notice I didn't go super dark with this setup because I actually liked the way that these ceiling beams, not the technical term there, but these support beams here kind of made a cool fanned out line effect. So you want to keep some of that structure of the background in your shots. If it's just pitch black, it can work for some shots, but not always. So I made sure to frame him in between these, and I wanted them to fan out around him. So I didn't expose all the way for black. Plus, I figured when I edit it, I can kind of boost the contrast, and that would come down a little bit. And then you can see the brightness on his face is brought up from that dark background. And then when I edit it, I made sure when I go to boost the contrast by bringing the highlights down, that it's allowing the background to get a little bit darker. And then once that background gets darker, you need that light from the grid on his face to keep him out. So it's really simple when you're using one flash. Get the background dark, throw one flash on the subject's face, then they stand out, and then you can have a more dramatic scene. And notice he's looking directly into the light so that it's relatively flattering still. Now, a grid on a speed light is not going to be the most flattering light. This is going to be what's considered a very hard light source. So you could really only get away with it with relatively good looking people who younger, especially if you have a lot of wrinkles, stuff like that. It might be less flattering. You can still look good if you do it right. But as far as the ease of making somebody flattering, you usually want a big, soft light source, but something dramatic and cool for like a young athlete then a grid is a great bet to get something cool and dramatic. But one way to make it a little bit more tolerable is to have them looking towards the light, because then it's hitting them in the face and lighting both sides of the face relatively evenly, and you're just getting the sharp edges underneath the jaw, and it accentuates that jawline, makes them look tough and fit, I guess, by accentuating that jawline. And you'll see what I mean in the shots where he looks away. So when he looks away from the light, you see how it gets way more dramatic, because now I'm lighting one side of his face, and then the other side of his face is got weird shadows on it a little bit. So that is going to be a little bit more moody and tough and whatnot. And so as you can see here, we're adding the drama. I'm boosting the contrast a lot, especially with black and white. I feel like black and white, you can get away with more contrast. And to add some dramatic effect, I get the lens right next. I had him hold out his hockey stick right next to the lens. So because it's so close, it looks huge and it's more dramatic. And then again, I wanted one more flattering, so I had him looking into the light. So you can see the difference. Way more dramatic and moody, especially with the grid. This is very hard light, and we kind of like that look, but just in case, I make sure to always give them a softer version so that they have that flattering option, especially for mama. And same effect, hockey stick really close. And then you'll notice the editing's a little different, so I'll show you a trick. Notice how, especially he's got the dark brown hair, and with one spotlight on him, it's kind of, I kept it a little bit warm. It's not overly warm or anything, but there's a little bit of a warm tone in his skin and his hair and his jacket, and that contrasts well by adding a little bit of blue tone in the background. Now you could do this with gels if you wanted to play around, but a little hack sometimes just to add something interesting is you just take a brush and take the temperature down a little bit, and then you can just brush in a little bit of blue. And it just adds a little bit of a warm, cool kind of split tone kind of a thing. You just got to be careful that if something's warm, you're not brushing it. So like this hockey stick here, you can see where I accidentally brushed in some blue, so I'll have to clean that up before I give it to the client. And even on the blade here, there's a little bit of spillover. So you just got to be careful that only the background is touched and be a little bit more precise. That's one thing to keep in mind when you do that trick. If you were to do it with lighting, you can expose for tungsten, for instance, and bring everything blue and then throw a warm gel on the flash, and whatever the flash hits will be orange. And so you could do this authentically and it works way better. But, you know, when you're editing and you want to spice something up, this is probably the hero shot, the shot that I like the most out of the shoot. And then one more tweak for you is I just got a more casual pose and I went a little bit darker with the background. And again, I did the split toning, a little bit more of the split light here, and it works really well for his jawline and his face. He can pull it off. But I switched the light, so it's the exact same setup except for mirrored, because I had the hockey stick over his right shoulder, and he wanted to make sure that the prop was in line of the flash as well as his face so that you could see it. Because notice on this side, it's gone to black. So if I had the flash over here, you would just be lighting up the butt of the stick and not this side. And this side would be black, and that would be not very interesting. So whenever you have a prop and you have a grid, you want to make sure that that grid, which has a tight beam for the face, you're going to make sure that the prop is also in that same kind of trajectory. So that's why I had to gear the pose to fit in that grid. Now, if I wanted to move the hockey stick somewhere else, then you're going to need a separate light or maybe take the grid off. So the advantage of that grid is you get the super tight beam. As you can see, none of the background is lit. The fall off, there's no editing, brushing here or anything. So you can see that he is lit from head to about mid-level chest, and then it starts to get dark. This hand is bright, this hand is dark. So that's what the grid is really for, is giving you that nice spotlight effect. It's a super simple one light setup. Again, I have him looking into the light, just slightly different look here. And so again, the before and the after, super simple setup, one light, bring that exposure down, throw a light on the face, boom, you got yourself a dramatic portrait. So if you're ever outside on a super sunny day, find a dark place, go in a garage. Parking garage is a great place in the city to find some darkness so that you can play with some lighting to end your shoot. And there you go. Tiny bit of MagMod magic goes a long way. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you'd like to see more MagMod tips, then please like and subscribe. I'm going to be making a lot more in-depth videos as well as these little tidbits from my shoots. I like kind of showing when I'm on a shoot, show you before and after videos, but then I'm going to make some full-length tutorials as well, so stay tuned for those. Again, I'm Joshua from ShutterSchool.com. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.